Hello and welcome to another quick drawing lesson. This week I'm going to draw a small car that I saw at Goodwood last weekend. One of the noisiest cars there, in fact, even though it was only small. The Saab 93B. Right, so the first thing we'll do is a front wheel over here. And we need a wheelbase of 2.5 wheels, so measure 1, 2.5. Draw another wheel. And we can draw a nice little horizontal line going through the centres of the wheels. Try and draw everything nice and lightly to start with. This will be the front end of our car. If you go 1/4 of a wheel in front, you need a kind of a line that follows the curve of the front wheel. It'll be a front wheel arch curving round. And at the back here we need to go sort of 1/3 of a wheel on top. And what we need now, well, actually we'll mark the end of the car here. Let's say about 2/3 of a wheel out the back. So out here is going to be where the back end of the car is. So we need a line that goes from this wheel arch at the front, curves and drops through that line there, and then reaches the tail here. So quite a tricky one, but something like that. Now we can add another line slightly in front of this one, which would be the grille. Slightly sloping, slightly curved vertical line at the front there. Slightly steeper, tighter radius. And then they'll follow back, follow this line back. Actually, we'll just lightly put that in on top of, following this line here, sort of parallel, because that would be the bottom edge of your windows as well. Now we can put the front edge of the door in, which is about 1/3 of a wheel again, something like that, somewhere around here. And again, it's sort of vertical, but put a slight curve in it. This is a very rounded car, so any curve, you just want to show that it's gently curving. And the back edge of the door, maybe this sort of 1/2 a wheel further in front of the back wheel. And again, that one's another vertical kind of line there. And at this point here is where the windscreen will start. And that's a sort of 45-degree line going up there. And you can thicken that up slightly in front to give your A pillar and bring your bonnet up slightly. And the B pillar, this one at the middle, is unusual. It sort of slopes forward rather than being vertical like you'd expect. So at this point here where the door reaches the top line, just have a slight forward slant on it like this. And now we've got another curve to do. So if we add, say, a 1/2 a wheel height on here at least, kind of, here's about 1/2 a wheel. And we also plot a little point. Just make sure that you're within this back wheel here somewhere, and then come up, and this is going to be where the back window stops. It overlaps to about here, it just overlaps the back wheel slightly. So we need the bottom edge of the windows goes along like that, and then there's a little curve, and then top edge is also an arc that needs to reach that point. So quite tricky, some kind of arc like that, but it's all nice rounded streamlined curves on this car. The roof has got quite a bit of height to it because again it's got quite a curve in it, so you can thicken that up quite a lot. And then you want to bring that down to meet this point here. And then we've got your basic Saab shape. Now we can start to add the little details that make it something different than a Porsche 356 it looks a bit like at the moment, doesn't it? So those things are things like the wheel arches. So if you go to the front wheel and just trim the top off, and then where you get to where the tyre is, just bring it down at 45 degrees and then across. And the same on the back here, the 45-degree thing, right all the way down to the bottom edge of the car. And then you can round those corners off slightly so that they're not so sharp. That's your front wheel arch shape. And at the back we've got a similar thing. We've got a vertical section. A bit more of the wheel is chopped off at the back, it's more of an overhang. And again, when you get to the tyre, just do this 45-degree slope and round off the corners. Remember to bring that tail upwards slightly at the back. And that wheel arch there needs to be thickened up slightly. So just a horizontal across the top, a vertical at the front, and a little rounded edge. There's your rear wheel arch. And there's a little piece of trim on there, we can add that now, just a little whiz line. And while we're down the back here, we can add some bumpers. So at this point here, just do a little rectangle with some overriders. And also at the back here, we've got a fuel filler cap that's kind of in line with the back edge of the wheel there. And you'll see a little join for the engine lid. And I'll just turn this round and put a suggestion of the rear window in. And now moving to the front of the car, we need some door handles and a little rear view mirror, some windscreen wipers. Could just add a suggestion of the windscreen, and some front bumpers. So those sit underneath this line here. Again, just a rectangle and some D-shaped overriders. And here we've got some small lights and a little bit of a sculpted shape in the front arch. Again with a little piece of chrome trim that looks like a whiz line. And we're at the front there, we also need a headlight and a suggestion of the grille. But you really can't see much of that. I forgot a light at the back here as well. And now maybe the ground plane, and show the wheels on the far side just so that it's not completely cut out. And at this point, because I've been drawing very lightly so far, I can now start to darken up some of the lines where it would be darker, so there's shading underneath the car. Those wheels on the far side. There's shadow underneath. Anywhere where you think it would be nice and dark, you can just add a little bit of a firmer line. But it's more interesting just to add it in some places, not all the way around, otherwise it would just look like a heavier drawing, whereas a nice mixture of light and heavy lines is good. Another good place for some heavy ones would be just in the cockpit, just so you can see it's got some depth. I just noticed that on this B pillar there's a slight change in the angle there, probably to do with the shape of the glass. They probably couldn't wind it down or something. You could show steering wheel in there maybe. And that's pretty much it, I think. Let me know in the comments if there's a particular car you'd like me to try next. I've got a few to get round to, and I'll do my best to tackle those at some point. Hope you enjoyed that, and see you again soon.